You're listening to the Jiu Jitsu Lou podcast, and I'm Lou Temlett. I'm guessing you're having a good day because either you've been on the mats, considering getting on the mats, or maybe you're interested in being on a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu podcast. I'm so happy you're here listening or watching this episode. Please don't tap out before the end. When you want to grow your online reputation, start recording a Jiu Jitsu podcast. I'd like to welcome Jason Moola from WhiteBasementPod to my podcast. Hi, Jason. How are you?
I'm very good. Happy to be here.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you for joining me. This is not my first invitation of having another Brazilian Jiu Jitsu podcast as a guest, but I'm very happy that there is actually the recording button and I'm not having to re-record. So I'm very grateful to that because there's always a bit of stress when you're working with someone that does exactly the same as you, in life or, kind of social, then there's some level of anxiety. But I feel very chill today, Jason. And I'm kind of liking your vibe. We've already had a bit of a
chill because I don't have to worry about all the tech side of it. It is quite stressful, trying to, like as we were talking about a little bit briefly before, trying to keep track of everything that's going on as well as interacting properly and talking to the guest and following what they're saying. So this is the first kind of remote one that I've done. All the stuff that I've done is face to face. So this is all quite exciting for me.
I love your face-to-face podcast, and I think that's the ultimate. At some point in my podcasting journey, I will have a studio that I can go and record in, and have a bit more time to do those things, and maybe not worry about the tech stuff so much. So, Jason, you are host of White Basement Pod, and you train Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Tell me about your Brazilian Jiu Jitsu journey, first of all.
So I started martial arts. So I always loved martial arts as a kid, obviously, and I'm going to turn 52 this year. So I was kind of the end of the Bruce Lee era, Karate Kid, all those kind of 80s movies. And I love martial arts, and I was always flying around the house, doing stupid things. And decided to actually try and look for a martial arts class probably when I was about 15, 16.
Yeah. No
internet in those days, so it was a little bit harder to actually find a club. You're either somebody or you read something in the back of a magazine, but otherwise you're just kind of asking around, does anybody know where there's somewhere to learn martial arts. And I found a few places. None of them I really kind of gelled with. And I was working at the time, I was studying, and I was working part-time at Tesco. And I was on the fruit and veg, and one of the guys who was on, I don't know, dried food or something, but the aisle that I normally was stacking was kind of butted onto the aisle that he was normally stacking. So kind of say, right, Mark, how you doing, mate? And then I can't remember what happened. We got chatting about something or other, and he mentioned that he trained Kung Fu. And I was like, I've been looking for a martial arts class. Is it any good? He loved it, etc. And he said, you should come along and train. And man, I loved it. I went to that first class. I got absolutely beasted, and I was just like, this is great. This is the thing for me. And so I think I started training just before I was 18, so probably a couple of months before my 18th birthday. And I trained, I just became obsessed with it, and I trained 3-4 times a week, plus a bit of gym and a bit of running and a bit of running up steps like Rocky and jumping on up and down and things.
I trained parkour these days.
Say again.
It's called parkour these days.
Yes, yeah. It definitely wasn't at that level of ability, but yeah. So I did that for till I was about 25, which was around about when I qualified as an optometrist. And as soon as I started working, I was just knackered, and I just couldn't really commit to the training. So I kind of dropped back. and I always wanted to carry on doing something. But I think as well with the Kung Fu, which is one of the things that so far I love so much about Jiu Jitsu, the Kung Fu after a while became very, you've done everything.
Okay.
I learned all the forms, I learned all the drills, I got to black belt, I was kind of teaching, helping out in classes, going over the same stuff again and again and again. And it was getting a little bit stale. Whereas the thing that I have found, just to jump around a little bit with jiu-jitsu, is that you're never going to get anywhere near 1% of it. You know, you're constantly finding new things. But anyway, so I stopped training and I tried to keep active. So I was playing a bit of five-a-side and I was doing a bit of gym and doing a bit of running. I've always tried to be active and stick with regular exercise. And then a friend of mine who at the end of my Kung Fu kind of journey, UFC 1 happened. And I saw Royce Gracie, the scrawniest guy in the competition, come in with his pajamas, throw everyone on the floor and submit them. And I just thought, man, what have I been learning? I've been learning junk for like 7 years. This guy just drags people onto the floor and chokes them or arm locks them. So I think that started to plant the seed of like, you know what? Like I've said this on my podcast quite a few times. There was a couple of people within my Kung Fu kind of circle who there was these stories that circulated that so and so person's master, the reason why he can never fight anyone is because he'd kill them. Like if he touches you, you die. And then after I watched UFC 1, and I bought into that, I was like, yeah, man, he's got the death touch, Dimac, this and that. After I saw UFC 1, I was like, that's why he can't fight anyone, because he can't fight. We were good within our sphere, our rule set of, you know, you can't do this and you could only do that. We had no leg kicks. We had no strikes to the back. There wasn't any grappling. So if you kind of got into any kind of entanglement, you just would separate and start again. So we were good. I mean, I could kick a ping pong ball off someone's head, spinning, jumping in the air. But I mean, amazing. I don't know whether that was realistic to ever apply to any real situation. And,
I to take you back actually to your teenage years, because there'll be a number of young listeners. Maybe they're already training Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, they're competing, but there might be some that don't yet. So what was it about your teenage years that it was martial arts rather than dancing or playing chess or something else? What was it about the martial arts that drew you to start training?
Martial arts is cool. Being able to kick someone's ass is cool. So being a young man, you want to be able to fight, right? You want to be. All right. You watch Karate Kid. I mean, probably kids these days they think Karate Kid is the Netflix series, right? But the original movie kind of encapsulated that idea of the underpowered, weaker, smaller victim of bullying can overcome bully with martial arts, with discipline, with training, with technique. It can beat strength, power, aggression, etc. And I don't have kids, so I couldn't say for sure, but I suspect now the same kind of philosophy applies. That when you're young, you want to feel that there is a way to be dominant and successful in something, which is down to skill and discipline and training rather than just natural ability. And that's what martial arts encapsulates. I think Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, even more so than anything else that I've had experience of, is if you keep turning up, become incredibly efficient and dangerous. And as I had a guy recently on my podcast who's got a self-defense kids book called Sticks and Stones, you become hard to kill if you train.
I love that. I think a lot of the intent of the young people is us as parents going, actually, we think it's a really good idea. There's a lot of mental kind of adaptability. There's lots of physical stuff, and actually, as a human well-being kind of tool to keep you a bit more balanced in life. I don't know. I'm interested to know whether what the intent is if it's not a parent encouraging you to start training. And I think, there are so many things on offer for young people, more so probably than when we were growing up. But just to have Brazilian Jiu Jitsu on the list, and it growing in popularity right now, which I think is just the best thing.
Yeah, I mean, so my kind of I've thought about this quite repeatedly and quite a lot about all the benefits of specifically Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So martial arts in general, but Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specifically has extra benefits, characteristics compared to a lot of other martial arts.
Yeah.
But I think that as a physical being, you need some kind of physical activity. So you need something that physically challenges your body, because we are. It's quite weird for me because I can't say like we're descended from cavemen, because I don't know whether I really believe the whole evolution thing. But as a physical as a physical being, we're kind of designed to have a biological response to physical activity. So after you do something physically difficult, you feel better. In a nutshell,
and it's hormones, blood pressure. Well, it's a kind of physical stress, isn't it? It's not, because our lives are so mentally stressful, having a physical stress to be able to kind of work it out and just do stuff and know that you're alive as well.
Yeah, I mean, it allows you to certainly to feel alive, because it's very easy to get trapped inside your own head through work or through family relationships, where you're living, all kinds of life challenges that people go through, to really get stuck inside your own head, and you don't know which way's up and which way's down, and whether you're talking to yourself or you're hearing someone else's thoughts. And I've had quite a few people on the podcast who've talked about anxiety, depression, suicide, all kinds of kind of mental health stuff. And I mean, one of the things that I, apart from the physical stresses on the body, good physical stresses on the body that you get with jiu-jitsu, one of the things that's a recurrent theme and is absolutely indisputable that is beneficial is a social environment. So being able to get in a group of other people and interact with them. And that doesn't even necessarily need to be conversation, because I'm actually I'm quite introverted. I'm not an extroverted person at all. I feel comfortable and confident talking to people on a podcast because I'm doing a podcast, but I can or at work, because I'm an optometrist. So people come to see me and they want my opinion, and I'm the expert, and I'm going to tell them But I can feel quite uncomfortable and unconfident and not want to be around a lot of people and a bit stressed out, and just need to kind of have a bit of space. So I can easily go to a jiu-jitsu class. I don't talk to anyone. I turn up, I get changed, I put my stuff on, I have a little warm up, we do the class, we roll, I say thank you, I shake a couple of people's hands, I go home again. But I still have a massive amount of interaction. And what I sort of have come to feel about jiu-jitsu, which is why I find it so kind of beneficial for me, and why I think, as you said, it's growing in popularity. It's become so kind of it's like a virus, like a physical mind virus that just spreads, is because it's jiu-jitsu is a physical conversation. You're having a physical discussion with somebody. So, and this is where I think a lot of misunderstandings come if you read through a lot of the forums and debates. Oh, this guy tried to arm lock me really hard, or this person always neon bellies me or whatever. And I kind of think if you frame it in the same way that you would frame a conversation, you and I could have completely different views, and we probably do, on a number of things. But we need to get to know each other first before we can start battling over those things without upsetting each other. Because otherwise, it would almost be like we meet, we don't introduce ourselves, we start shouting at each other. You call me a name, I call you a name back, and then I go, "Oh, that Lou, man, can't stand her," as opposed to saying, "Hi, I'm Jason. We both do a podcast. How has your day been, etc." And then we talk about stuff that we have got in common, like podcasting and jiu-jitsu, and being older and starting training as a over 40s, etc. And then maybe on the second, third, fifth, 20th, 50th conversation, we start getting on to, actually, you know what, you mentioned that thing, and I just wanted to pick your brain and da-da-da-da-da. Then we can get into that stuff, and we'll probably have really good, fascinating debates about it. But it's the same when you train. If someone comes into the class, slap hands, and then you try to fly and triangle them, which you're not very good at, and you end up kneeing them in the face, that's the equivalent. So I feel that your training, you should approach it the same way that you approach people in social or work or whatever situations, where you introduce yourself, and then you ask them about themselves, and then you float a couple of things and you see how they respond, and then you develop relationships.
It's so good. I'm kind of going that there's a love-hate relationship kind of physically when you're training jiu-jitsu. Some of the fresh white belts might go really hard and they go, "Oh, you did this to me, I hate you and I'm going to do this to you." And they use their aggression and their kind of physical being. But actually, the more you start to understand different human beings, the more you can manipulate them in a much quieter, calmer way. You still might not like them very much, but there's that balance of respect and flow, like you're talking about. And I think, you've got some great kind of ideas that if you're a white belt and relatively new to Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, go and listen to Jason. I think this conversation, physical conversation piece is really quite special, Jason.
But that is how I think it's a good way of framing it, and I think it's also because it can be, especially if we're talking about starting training when you're older, as you did, as I did when I came back to it, or starting training as a kid when you're young and you're a little bit unconfident, or starting training as somebody who wants to start martial arts because there's a gap or there's a insecurity or you got attacked or whatever it is, you're getting bullied at work. Though all of those kind of subgroups of people have an extra hurdle to overcome to get to walk into a class. So even me having the background of already having a black belt in Kung Fu, watching UFC and already, playing around and do this, that, and the other. I had started training. I'd injured my neck. I'd stopped for about 10 years. I'd gone back to Resistance, which used to be East Finchley Combat Academy. I'd started training there. I'd been training about 6 months, and the nights that they trained were wrong for me. And I said, "Look, is there anywhere else, that you're affiliated to that I can train, etc.?" And they said, "Go to Mill Hill headquarters because that has classes every night. So whatever nights work for you, you can train there." The first 2 times I went, I didn't go in. I drove up, I parked outside, I saw all the people coming out, all these yoked up bros with their tops off, because I was going to go to the gi class. And before the gi class was the no gi class, which was Dan Strauss's class, which was full of just killers and monsters. Literally 60 guys would walk out with 6-packs, with sweaty, and I was like, "Man, I'm not going in there. No way." I went twice, parked up and drove home. And then the third time I was like, "You know what, if I don't go," and this was already I was training at the affiliate club, and Ed, who was teaching at the club I was at, was teaching there. Wasn't even a new instructor. I was just like, I don't want to go in there. And I think having a way to understand the process of training and rolling and whatever, that's not just like a physical, okay, they're going to grab you, or you're going to have to do this, or you're going to have to do a warm-up, or da-da-da. If you can come to it from a pattern that you've already done 1,000 times in your life. You met people, even if you're a kid, you went to a new school or a new year at school, there's new kids, there's new teacher, you have to say hello, you have to start talking, which seat are you going to sit in? I want to sit at the back, now you have to sit in the middle. You know, it's just the same process, but it's jiu-jitsu or another martial art. And I think it's really important to give people the tools that they need to be able to not just go to a class, but not get injured, not get smashed to bits, not go in with unrealistic expectations, as we all do. That, does anyone know I'm going to be the next world champion? They don't know yet, but I am going to be. You're not going to be. You're just going to be another person that goes on the mats and trains. But giving people tools that they need to navigate all those obstacles, which is why you're either not going to go, or you're not going to stay, or you're not going to stay long enough, or you're not going to stay through an injury or whatever. I mean, that's how you grow anything, right? That's how you grow a business, or you grow a sport, or you grow an idea, something that you want to help promote, is giving people the tools that they need to be able to get there and stick with it. Because that's all it comes down to, is can you stay? Can you keep turning up?
What would have made a difference for you to have walked in on that first time?
If I was yoked up.
Is that the only thing?
Pretty much. I mean, well, the thing is, so I had started training previously, right? So to finish off my probably quite boring long kung fu story, I stopped training. I was going to work. I was doing this, that, and the other. One of my friends who we both had watched UFC and got obsessed by it, rings me up one day and says, I found a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu club in Dalston, which I've been training at. Hoist Gracie's coming to do a seminar tonight. Do you want to come? Wow. And I was like, this is like my hero. This is like the, you know, like I didn't have a picture, but if I'd had a picture with incense, with petals, it would have been his picture. So I was like, yeah, awesome. So that was like my first ever class, was a Hoist Gracie seminar at Eddie Cohn's place in Dalston. Yeah, that was my first jiu-jitsu lesson. And then, but I injured my neck, getting stacked, legs overhead, either in that class or in the next one or two, you know, right at the beginning. I completely destroyed like my whole nervous system. I thought I had MS. I was so mashed. I couldn't feel my hands. I couldn't feel water on my back in the shower for about 6 months. I had dizzy spells that turned into anxiety, panic attacks. I went to A&E 2 or 3 times with a heart attack. By the second time, you know, they're like, oh, this guy's back again. Just sit him in a corner, send him. It was really bad. And so the physical side of it and the like mental side of it was years. Yeah. And then when I went back, I think already when I'd started training in East Finchley, I herniated a disc in my back, like, I don't know, 2 months in, 3 months in. Yeah. Couldn't walk, couldn't sit down, couldn't sleep. It was really bad. But I was like, I'm not stopping. Yeah. I'm just going to go. Even if I have to just lie like on the floor, people pass my guard and go, why are you not trying to do anything? I'm like, I'm learning, man. I'm not, because I was 44. I was like, if I stop this time, I'm not going back. Realistically, I'm not going to go back. So I was like, I just got to get through it. And I think when I got to Mill Hill, those first couple of times, it was just the whole like physical concern, probably more than the mental side of it. Because I think by that point I'd just been like, you know what, just stop being soft, just go. Like, just make a decision, right? You wake up every morning, make a decision. You want to go or you don't want to go. If you don't want to go, don't go. If you want to go,
Yep.
go. No one cares. No one's going to get on your case. You're an adult. You do what you want to do. But I think I was worried, like, these guys are going to just rip me physically to bits. And then, but it was the same thing. I was like, so, all right, go home then. Or train.
Yeah,
And then
sounds like mental torture, actually.
As soon as I got in there, though, again, it was. I mean, that Mill Hill at that time was, man, that was savage, Matt. It was hard training. Nick Brooks, you know, the late great Nick Brooks, was no messing around. You know, just like we like training hard, and I loved it. It was amazing. It was a struggle because of my back. I mean, I was really. It was very very difficult, but you know, you just it's there's no. The thing is that I think is it's difficult advice to hear, but it's the correct advice. There's no easy fix. There's no magic trick. There's no, just do this and it will all be good. You have to just man up or woman up or whatever up. You have to just nut up and just say, you know what? I'm gonna do this. It doesn't matter whether it's changing jobs or going to jiu-jitsu or leaving a relationship or starting a relationship or whatever. There's no kind of, there's, like I said, there's ways you can frame it and there's tools you can use, but ultimately you just got to go, you know what, today's the day. Yeah. Like, today's Daniel LaRusso, right? Yeah. Wash the car, paint the fence, whatever, and then you got to go and fight in the whatever it was called, the All Valley Karate Tournament. Yeah. Man, at the end of the day, it's you and Johnny on the mat. Yeah. It's down to you, and that's one of the things that I think is one of the most powerful and valuable lessons of martial arts, but specifically of jiu-jitsu. Yeah, is ultimately you slap hands, you bump fists, and it's me and you, and there's no excuses, and there's nowhere to hide, and there's nowhere to you're going to try and get me, I'm going to try and get you. And then we're going to find out who got who. And then we're going to know. There's no, this or that. Or no. After 5 minutes, we know you beat me. You're better. I love it. Whatever it is, I have to deal with that. And that's a lesson for life, right? Sometimes stuff's going to happen to you and you're like, you know what? I lost today. But the beautiful thing about jiu-jitsu is that's fine. All right, guys, find another partner. Another 5 minutes on the clock. Beep, we go again. Get another chance.
This is the Jiu-Jitsu Lou podcast with me, Lou Temlett, coming to you from the UK. Go and check out the latest video clips over on jiu.jitsu.lu. And as you're listening or watching on your favourite podcast platform, I'd really appreciate you dropping the show a rating and a review. Today, I'm having a conversation with Jason from WhiteBasementPod. So, Jason, that was an incredible story. And I think, you know, finding the courage, making the decision to just go and train, to start training or to continue training is really important. You know, as a mindset, waking up every day and making that decision to get on the mats. And I think, you know, days and days go past, you know, there might be life challenges and other things going on. But ultimately, it's our own responsibility to make that decision and make life happen. I'd love to hear about White Basement Pod a bit more, because you're a brown belt and you've been training for a good number of years, and you started your podcast a couple of years ago. Now, tell me about why that came about and how it's going.
So that, I mean, again, it was a jiu-jitsu thing. So you know, a recurrent theme certainly in my life, and I suspect in most people's lives, is when you start doing things, other things happen. You know, if you just sit at home and do absolutely nothing, sorry to break it to you, nothing's ever going to happen. Once you start doing stuff, you meet people, you get ideas, you get exposed to different things. So during lockdown, obviously all the jiu-jitsu clubs closed down. And we're in a flat at home, but underneath the flat, we got a double length garage, which was one of the reasons why I bought the flat. Because when I saw the garage, I was like, one of the things I remember from being a kid when I was young is we could never park outside our little terraced house. I was like, when I have a flat or a house, it must have off-street parking. That's my number one, you know, if I have that, I've won. So when I saw the flat, it had this big double length garage, and I was like, this is perfect. I can put a gym in the back, and I can put the car in the front, and then I can have a gym because I like working out, and I can put the car away. Amazing. So we already had like a partition wall halfway down the garage, which was already in there when I bought the flat. My brother-in-law's a surveyor builder, so he came in and just kind of plasterboarded it, put some ceiling in, made it kind of reasonably nice. Yeah. But it was always a little bit of a kind of, you know, like wear shoes when you go in there. It's a concrete floor. It was kind of bits of old cuts of carpet were down, and it was a bit kind of grubby, but it was just go in there, have a workout, and come out. And my wife had started training. She'd smashed up her MCL. So again, someone jumped on her, pushed her over backwards, and he just exploded. But so she'd started and then stopped. And so she'd been rehabbing it for, I don't know, 6 months, 12 months, whatever. Lockdown happened. And I said, you know what, let's just put like a proper mat down in the garage. We don't know how long this is going to go on for. You know, I was like, zombie apocalypse. We might be here for 20 years. Like, we need somewhere to train. So let's make a proper, right? And I was like, let's make a proper jiu-jitsu space. And I'd always, from the online stuff, I'd always liked the look of the art of jiu-jitsu. You know, those guys have got that beautiful white with the flowers and the orchids, beautiful place. So obviously I was like, the orchids not so much, but let's just put a white mat down, because it was whitewashed walls already. I was like, let's put a white mat down. She wanted a black mat. It's going to get dirty. I said, it's only going to be us training on it. No. Back and forth. Anyway, in the end, I won. I don't win many, but I won that one. So we put down this white mat and, you know, re-whitewashed everything, and we're training in there. And then two of my friends who also wanted to keep training, I was like, listen, just come around and, you know, just park up the road, come when it's dark, we'll just go in and train. So we were really lucky, because I was training like 5 days a week, all the way through. I was training twice with her, I was training twice with another friend, and once with another friend. And sometimes they were even overlapping. So someone can't do this week, it'll come twice and whatever. So we were kind of training all the way through. And one of my friends in there who was training with us, Smith, he said, you know what, you should call this place the White Basement, because Danaher's place and Henzo Gracie's in New York is the Blue Basement. And he said, oh, you should call this the White Basement because it's under the flat, so there's no windows. It's kind of like a basement. And I was like, yeah, cool, we'll call it the White Basement. And then 2 and a bit years ago, so he still comes around and trains. I trained with him this morning, so he comes now. We train on a Sunday morning. A couple of years ago, he said, hey, you know what, we should start a podcast. And I'd been thinking about doing a podcast for a long time, because, like I said to you a little bit before we recorded, I used to do a bit of video work. So I've always done a bit of creative stuff. I've either been doing a bit of Photoshop or a bit of video, a bit of editing, making short films. Like, I needed always some kind of creative output of some description. And I'd been thinking for ages about doing a podcast, because that's generally the format that I just watch YouTube videos and listen to podcasts. I don't really read anything. I'm very much like an audio kind of that I prefer to learn that way. Yeah. But because of all the previous 10 years of stuff, having panic attacks, rocking up at A&E at 3 o'clock in the morning, etc., I was like, I'm not going to commit to this, because I know what's going to happen. After 3 months, I'm going to be having a couple of weeks where I don't feel good and I don't want to talk to people and whatever. But if you want to do it with me, perfect, because it'll be both of us. And then if I don't feel good, or I'm on holiday, or you're away, or whatever, like, we'll be able to manage it between the two of us. So long story short, we looked here, we looked there, we've met up with my old friend Tom. He's got a studio. Went and looked at the studio. The studio's good. Okay, let's do a first episode, me and him, and see how it goes. Yep. So we go in, we do this episode. He picked me up because he lives kind of that way. The studio's that way. So he picked me up. we drive up there, we do the episode. Man, I
Yeah.
was like, I am like the Barnett's answer to Joe Rogan. I was like so happy with
Love
myself.
it.
I thought I'm so cool. My opinions on things are so insightful. I'm like, I'm the next superstar podcaster. So anyway, we finished the episode, and we get back in the car, and he's driving us back down the hill, and I look at him, and he looks like he's had a cancer diagnosis. And I'm like, what's the matter? And he's like, I hated it. I don't like the sound of my own voice. I don't like talking about myself.
No.
It's not, and I was like, I'm doing it. I was like, I love it. This is amazing. I'm doing it. But if not for that, I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have committed to it, because I didn't want to half-heartedly do it. I didn't want to say, I'll do a few and see what it's like. I was like, if I do it, I'm going to give it a good kind of good go, and so I'm ever thankful to him for saying let's do one, because otherwise I would have never started it. I'm sure there's a few people who would have been glad if I never started it, but hey.
It's amazing. Everyone go and listen to White Basement Pod. You've cleared up my question now about why it's called White Basement Pod. And actually, I was waiting for your story to be, I'm still parking on the street because I made my gym bigger. I was like,
no. Parking is a
I get it. Parking is very stressful when you own or rent a property, and parking is, a premium. But I'm pleased you've got somewhere to park, and I'm pleased you got somewhere. How are the white mats looking these days?
Yeah, well, okay. So I'm assuming you haven't watched the episode on the. You haven't seen the SHIT basement episode, have you?
No, tell me about it.
So, I quite often in the mornings, I get up early and I go for a little run. Not even a run, I've got a hill near me. So I do hill sprints because I've got bad knees as well. So running up a hill is fine. Pounding the pavement I can't do, but a little bit of cardio, right? So I wake up, I do my breathing like 3-4 days a week, and I just go and do like 3 or 4 of these little hill sprints. So this is like 6 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. And my trainers, my running shoes are in the garage. So I go walk downstairs, that's my little ritual, walk down, put my running shoes on, because it's miserable running up hills, but that's my little thing. Once I put my shoes on, okay, I know I'm going. So I go down and I get to the side door for the garage. I go in and I'm like, I can kind of smell cooking, like, not great cooking, but it smells like cooking. But it's 6 o'clock in the morning, and my flat's full of old people, so they definitely ain't cooking at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I'm like, whatever. So put my shoes on, go do my hill sprints, come back, put my shoes back in the garage. Now it don't smell like cooking. It smells a lot worse than cooking, and it's a lot stronger. And I'm like, better go and check the gym at the back just in case. I'll send you some pictures after in case you want to share them, see them. You probably don't, to be honest. So I'm like, I'll just go down and have a quick look. So it's like there's a door. The door opens to go in the back, and there's a light. So I flick the light on, open the door, and there's just brown water and feces all over the floor. And what I didn't know was that one of the waste pipes from the flat, our flat, the flat underneath us, the flat underneath that, it comes down and it goes through our garage and out into the drains at the back. Yeah. And it had backed up and it just exploded. No. And it was, but it's boxed in. That pipe is boxed in. So I don't know what's going on. I've run upstairs, I wake my wife up, come down. I don't, when you can't even figure out what's happening. Like I don't know what is happening. I don't know where it's coming from or anything. And then I can hear like water coming out of this pipe, and I'm like, okay, it's obviously there's a pipe behind that plasterboard, and it's that. Call the management company and trying to drive to Tesco at 7 o'clock in the morning to go and get mops and buckets, and anyway, there was just. It was just the grossest thing. So long story short, because it was really, we were both ill afterwards. That's how bad it was. Gosh. But long story short, it's still white, but it wasn't white in the middle. So we had to throw everything out, literally throw all the mats out, the whole lot, just completely gut it, get it steam cleaned, the concrete, spend like four weeks with my wife's hairdryer, just doing like a little square at a time for an hour, trying to dry the floor up and then go. Then it would get wet again, do it again, but yeah, now it's clean now.
So more white mats, or did your wife win and there are black mats in there?
No. It's still white. And actually, again, trying to see the bright side of everything, there was lots of little bits the first time round that we thought, oh, if we'd have figured out what we were doing, we would have done it slightly differently. We would have folded the canvas a bit differently and ordered a slightly different size, and so we redid it a little bit better. All the niggly little annoying bits we fixed the second time round, which we never would have done. So yes, the 2.0 is better than the 1.0.
Do you know what? It sounds like your Brazilian Jiu Jitsu journey, your kind of first run was a bit sabotaged, like your basement, and your second run has been much more successful, and you're still progressing. You're recently a brown belt, and you're still heading towards even more success, both with your podcast and with your Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I think it's amazing.
Hopefully. Yeah. 100%. I mean, one of the things that I have hopefully sort of intertwined into my life philosophy and life ethos is everything is just about the journey. I mean, this is what I say to a lot of people about training, because especially and you will find this as you train longer. I'm such an expert because I'm a brown belt now, but you'll find this as you train longer, is that you just, after a while, especially when you're older, you realize like you are on a physical decline. It doesn't matter what you do. A lot of people that I mean, and this would be my advice to people: if you're younger and you want to start, just start now, because you're going to have so many years of getting better physically, mentally, emotionally, and at your art before you start to go on a downslide. And it's something that one of the guys I've had on, Rob Connor, who's a good black belt, judo black belt, teaches, really excellent kids teacher. But he's said a few times, the older you get, the better you used to be. Ooh. And one of the things that I've really tried to keep in mind and communicate to other people is it's literally just about having the opportunity to get on the mats and train. It's not about, like I've tried to sort of have like little bullet points. Most important thing is turn up to training. Second most important thing is enjoy your training. Third most important thing is don't get injured. The next one is don't injure your training partner. The next one after that is try and learn something. And the next one after that is try and win your rounds. That's the order of importance. Yeah. If you get the winning ahead of everything else, you're unless you end up being Gordon Ryan, you're going to stop training, because you are not going to hit that goal of I want to beat everybody. Yeah. Whereas if you come to it, which I think is something that often you come to with age. Like I see a lot of older people at work. Most of my patients are over 70, and just listening to them speak about, I used to go always every year cruising with my wife. Now she died. I used to do this, but I used to play tennis 4 times a week, but now I can't even walk properly. It just having the opportunity and the luxury to wake up on a Tuesday and say, I'm going to go class tonight. Is my back all right? My back's all right. My fingers are all right. You know what? I'm going to go class. And just being able to go to class, interact with my friends, the people that I train with, and my enemies, and go and, you know what I mean? Though, just get on the mat and
absolutely
roll and get a sweat and get a bit of, man, I can't believe I got mashed with that same technique again. And I've got this sweep I've been trying to get, or whatever it is. But just there will be a day always for everybody. It's inevitable when you're never going to train again.
Yeah,
that day will come.
Okay, let's park that one, because we all want to train as long as possible.
But before that day, make the most of it. This is the thing. You can't. There's things that are unavoidable, right? But everything up to that unavoidable is avoidable. And all it requires is you to just take action, make a habit, frame it in the correct way that allows you to just keep doing it, incorporate it into your lifestyle, incorporate it into your personality, incorporate it into your thought process, incorporate it into your physical body. Like, I mean, you'll find the same thing, right? Your neck is stronger, your hands are stronger. You know, you develop a jiu-jitsu body. I remember, you know, when I first started training, my neck's like a pencil. People used to just, you know, get one finger in my collar and I'd be like, oh my God, I'm going to go unconscious. Now I don't have still a strong neck, but I pride myself now on someone puts on like a nasty choke. I'm like, your fingers are going to go. You will tap me, but you're going to get off of that choke like, oh man, I can't believe like I had my fingers in there for 20 seconds. Well, it changes you. But you've got to just be consistent. You've got to start going and keep going. That's what it comes down to.
I love it. And our missions that we've discovered, you know, we're encouraging more over 40s to start training and actually continue training. It's that thought process, thinking about it and then taking action and getting on the mats as many times as you can. I was going to say, as many times as you can before you die. I know it's quite morbid, but it's that. It's
a different. It has to be also, though. I think when you're older, you have to go with a different mindset because you are physically on a decline, and you know you see on the jiu-jitsu forums all the time. I'm 45 years old. I'm like a 2-stripe blue belt. I keep getting beaten up by the new white belts, whatever, and you know, there is, because of the competitive nature of jiu-jitsu, where you're rolling in every session and you're literally testing yourself live every time you go on the mat, pretty much. You have to come to it with expectations that support your reality. If you weigh 50 kilos, or you're 60 years old, or you've got an injury, or whatever it is, like you're going to struggle. So you have to find a way to understand what you're doing that allows you to get all the benefits without just feeling, oh man, I just go and people like beat me up all the time. Because for some people that will be your experience. I mean, I'm heaviest I get is 70 kilos and I can get down to 63, 64. And I get thrown all over the place by everybody because an 80 kilo average man can pick me up just about with one hand when I'm light. But so I play different games or do different stuff or do the how little times could I get tapped or can I just not get injured or can I, you know, I don't have to go there and be like, I'm a brown belt now. I can beat everybody. I get beaten up all the time by blue and purple belts all the time because they're good and they're stronger and they're fitter and they're younger and they're heavier. But so what? I love training. I love getting beaten up just as much as I love beating people up.
I love it. Jason, how can people get hold of you and follow White Basement Pod and follow your journey?
Well, if you haven't got tired of listening to me speak, my wife tells me like once you get speaking, you just don't shut up. But if you haven't already heard more than enough that you ever want to hear from me, then at White Basement Pod on Instagram and White Basement Pod on Spotify, Apple, all the kind of podcast platforms. I did have a YouTube channel. My YouTube channel got taken down. I'm uploading everything onto Rumble at the moment, but as you know, it takes ages to re-export videos and upload them and tag them and all of that. So slowly on Rumble. But basically, White Basement Pod everywhere and anywhere. Hopefully you will find me. I try and put an episode out every Tuesday. So far I have hit that. So every Tuesday 5 a.m. I put an episode out, which is challenging, but so far I've stuck to that. And so if you want to hear some more ramblings from me, then definitely come and check the podcast out. And if you're thinking about training or you're getting disheartened with training or you started training and you stopped or whatever, I mean, jiu-jitsu, I love it. I can't say enough good things about it. And if you can find a way to make it work for you and make it something that you can incorporate into your life, you'll be better for it. There's no, 100%. It's a certainty. It will make your life better.
100%. Jason, thank you so much for your time. Now we all know why the White Basement Pod is called the White Basement Pod. Go and follow, go and check out Jason's episodes every Tuesday, 5 a.m. You're a great man. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for telling your friends about this show. And as soon as this episode ends, I'd really appreciate you dropping the show a rating and a review. Thanks again for listening. Go and check out the White Basement Pod, and I will catch you on the next episode of the Jiu Jitsu Podcast.